let's talk a little golf. Shout out to Joel Damon, top 10 finish out
Yeah.
at the Farmers
53
Insurance.
minutes, by the way. First mention of the sport.
Well, if you count the Barstool Classic schedule, I think we count that.
True.
Joel Damon, he was really the story for me, and it really was a testament. Him and like Wesley Bryant, watching the two of them going into the final round. I know it sounds a little bit ridiculous, but for me, I was tuning in strictly for that, which, as I was going to say, is a testament to personalities sort of persevering. Justin Thomas's letter from last week, I really didn't care. No offense about Harris English or about 6 of the names that were kind of up in the mix, just because I don't really know much about them. They're not that electrifying, whatever you want to say. I really just cared about Joel Damon. I cared about him having a high finish. It didn't feel like he was necessarily going to win. He was several strokes back, 5 back, whatever it was. But him and Wesley Bryan, who were sort of in this world, obviously the Wesley bros, they do a ton of golf and YouTube stuff, as everybody knows. They're all over. They're kind of in this orbit. And Joel is in our orbit. We just filmed a video with him a couple of months ago. He's the best. I love that man. So, yeah, watching him go out there, play well. It's going to be even harder this year to keep your tour card than it's ever been. It's only 100, I believe, now instead of top 125. So to have a top 10 finish is great for Joel. So credit to him. They suspended play due to winds at one point, which got all kinds of people up in a little tizzy, which I love about golf. You know, these are the things that we fight about in the world of golf. And the big one was you had some Corn Ferry Tour, stands coming out being like, when they play in Bermuda, the winds, and they're pulling up the wind data from when they played in Bermuda, and that the wind gusts when they made them play in Bermuda last year or whatever, in the Bahamas were 10 mile an hour faster, yet they didn't suspend play. And then you had people coming over the top being like, if there were green speeds even close to the green speeds, it was great. But regardless, they suspended play at Torrey Pines due to winds.
I do wish they would play. If it's,
agreed.
Why not? If we're, it's one thing if it's lightning outside and there's a chance of someone getting really, really hurt. I understand it, but golf's an outdoor sport. If the conditions are what they are, then that's what they are. Like, it's really windy out. I know the balls weren't standing on the green, and that's kind of, you get into a weird area there, but I'm kind of on the side of, if nobody's going to get hurt and it's just like, oh, wow, it's really, really hard to play in these conditions, I think they should play.
Yeah, I don't disagree. The green situation is tricky because I don't know exactly how you enforce that. If someone's on a certain degree slope and the greens are fast enough and the winds are fast enough that the ball is just going to roll away and you can't place it there, I don't know exactly what you do about that. Yeah. But I would say the turf crew or committee or whoever it is needs to have a little bit of foresight, and unless some shocking wind comes in that wasn't expected, it's usually pretty decently expected. So slow the greens down going into it. But I'm with you. I don't view wind as an element that should be able to suspend play. I remember when they did that at the British Open at St. Andrews a decade or so ago. It might have been when your boy won, Trent. Might have been when Mr. Cedar Rapids, Iowa, Zach Johnson won. But I remember they suspended play that year on like Friday due to high winds. And everyone's like, they suspended play at the British Open because of wind?
Asterisk.
The whole event is wind. Like, that's the whole point of it. So I think I'm with you. I don't just.
Is that championship up for debate? Is that major up for debate now?
The 2015 Open Championship?
Do we need to kind of get that back into the rotation of debates?
I've never heard much controversy with that. I know everybody wanted Jordan Spieth to win it because he was going for the slam, but outside of that, I didn't know there was much. I don't know if that was that year. It might have been, but I don't remember that happening.
It might have been 2010, maybe. It was somewhere at St. Andrews. I remember them suspending play due to wind and people being stunned. But it's the speed of the greens and all that. But I basically just agree with you. I figure it out. It's windy. You got to be able to play golf in the wind. It sucks. Plenty of videos out there of us grinding in brutal windy conditions, especially when you're not very good. You can just get eaten alive, and it's like, that's the game, dude. That's what we're doing out there.
It also, get this, entertainment has been a big conversation piece around golf. You want entertaining golf? Have the best golfers in the world play in the highest winds possible. That you got to tune in for that. If it's 100-mile-per-hour winds, I want to say, what's it going to be like for Joel Damon and all those guys out there? We talked last week. One of the more entertaining rounds in the last 10 years was Justin Thomas at the Players Championship, when it was awesome. Like, what is going on with these weather conditions? I would imagine if you're sitting at home and you're not like a huge golf fan, but you hear that the winds are so high at Torrey Pines that they're thinking about suspending play, but they're not going to. They're just going to make the guys playing it. I think you're at least thinking about flipping that on.
Agreed.
Totally. Yeah. And I struggle because I want to agree with that. Turn it up as high as you want for the wind, and like it shouldn't matter because it's just wind and it's not hurting them. But the game is still the game. You need to have the ball stay where it is. That's like what the sport is. So it's
I
like
understand that part of it. Yeah.
saying like if it's affecting the sport, it's the same thing as if it was raining a lot and like the puddles were affecting the ball rolling into the hole, they would call it also. So it's like if it's actually affecting the way that you can get the ball in the hole, you have to call it. You know,
yeah,
what I mean?
I don't have an answer for the balls on the green, except what Riggs said, where just maybe you water them a bunch and you make them slow, and then the balls.
You know what I mean?
Move.
There's other weather elements that they suspend play for because it ends up being like they can't get the job done. Like the greens get flooded. Like obviously you could just play in more. You can play in rain all day. Like they just keep continue to get wet. But the reason they call it is because they cannot finish the hole. Like the balls won't roll any longer. So like if that's the same reasoning for just extreme wind conditions, you can kind of see that it's like, oh, it's the same thing. Like you have to be able to just like suspend play.
I do.
I don't think that they're looking for them being like their hats are going to fly away even more now. Like they're just like, no, the ball won't go in the hole. Like this putt will literally get knocked off its line and they can't even get the ball to stay on their marker. So yeah, it sucks like when it gets to that point, but it must have been impossible. You know what I mean? Like that's impossible wind.
Like we played with Keegan in the Pro-Am, and he was like, these greens are lightning, and they are.
Well, we played in a lot of wind. I don't know if the balls ever like rolled off my mark. Like even when we played in North Dakota, dude, like that wind was insane. And it's not like every time I put the ball down, the wind just like blew off the wind blew the ball off the green.
But I think the reason the balls were moving at Torrey is because the greens were so rock hard.
Right.
And so if you can but if you can somehow mitigate that and get the balls to not roll in the wind, then I think you got to play. Yeah.
Yeah.